Welcome back, Eagles fans. Today we are breaking down everything happening on the field with Philadelphia, and there's a lot to unpack. Let's start with the topic that's been on everyone's mind recently, Saquon Barkley. Man, it's been tough watching him struggle this season, and I'm not even trying to throw shade on last year, because we all remember the guy who carried us to the Super Bowl and made some of the biggest plays when it counted, but this year is a different story. And you have to separate what he did before from what's happening right now. Watching the tape, it's clear that there have been some moments where opportunities just slipped through. He's had lanes, he's had space to make things happen, but the hesitation, the second guessing, the unnecessary cutbacks, those are costing us yardage and momentum. Last year, all of those jukes and cuts worked because the timing, the read, and the energy were on point. This year, it's just not clicking the same way. And while I'm not here to say that Tank Bigsby is outright better, you start to see comparisons you can't ignore. Tank is running behind the same offensive line, the same struggles and gaps, and yet somehow he's finding a way to turn plays that should go nowhere into solid gains. It's consistent, it's powerful, and it's exactly what you want from a running back when the line isn't giving you much. When you look at his carries, one after the other, it's almost like a revelation. 18 carries, averaging over 9 yards a pop. And that's not because the line magically opened holes. This is raw, downhill running, pads down, falling forward, fighting for every inch, and making something out of nothing. That's the kind of reliability and production that makes coaches adjust game plans around a player. You've got Saquon, you've got Tank Bigsby, and you have to ask yourself why the balance isn't more evident. The tendency to stick with Saquon when he's having an off game, and then rotate to someone like Will Shipley, who frankly hasn't convinced anyone yet, is puzzling. Tank deserves more snaps, and if he keeps showing that kind of vision, that kind of toughness, it only opens up possibilities for the run game and keeps defenses guessing. You don't just hand over carries to a player who isn't making plays and then ignore someone who consistently turns bad situations into positive yardage. It's not a knock on Saquon personally. It's about maximizing opportunities and using the roster smartly. And yes, the offensive line is not perfect. It's struggling in stretches. But that doesn't mean the ball carrier has to be invisible. There are plays happening, gaps that should be exploited, and at times, Saquon just isn't capitalizing the way he did in previous seasons. Meanwhile, Tank keeps grinding, and you see the difference immediately. That's the level of production that can spark a run game and energize a whole team. Now shifting gears slightly, let's talk about special teams because this has been a recurring headache. Xavier Gibson, man, it's time to reevaluate his role. The guy has speed, sure, but his fumbling issues are blatant and it's creating unnecessary setbacks. You're not supposed to try and make something out of nothing on kickoffs at the 2-yard line. That's not how you gain momentum, that's how you give it away. 32% fumble rate is astronomical, especially when you already have talent on the practice squad, waiting for a chance to step up. CVY, for instance, has shown reliability and good field vision. He's the type of player you want touching the ball in those critical moments, not someone who's giving the opposition free momentum. Special teams can make or break games, and mistakes like that, particularly on kick returns, are just inexcusable at this level. It's time for the coaching staff to put a line in the sand and reassess roles. Because every time a player mishandles opportunities like that, it trickles down to affect field position, scoring potential, and ultimately, wins. But let's get back to the main storylines because it's not all negative, and there's plenty to be excited about. Nico Dean has been an absolute revelation. 3 sacks in 3 consecutive games. This is consistency that you rarely see in the league, especially from a player who's had a rough start to his career. From struggling to find a rhythm to now dominating in pass rush situations, Dean has transformed into a legitimate threat. Watching him in games against Green Bay, Detroit, and Dallas, he's just relentless. He beats his blockers, finds the quarterback, and makes plays that change the course of the game. And it's not luck, it's technique, timing, and pure athleticism. His improvement in coverage has been notable as well, showing that he's not just a situational pass rusher, but someone who can impact multiple facets of the game. If we're talking comeback stories, Dean might be the strongest candidate. He's young, he's hungry, and he's showing resilience that is often overlooked in these discussions. Compared to rookie first-rounders coming in with high expectations, Dean is quietly proving that experience and determination can sometimes outweigh hype. It's the type of development that boosts morale for the entire defense and adds a layer of confidence when facing high-pressure situations. And speaking of defense, the conversation about safety is heating up. The Eagles are looking thin. And with Andrew Makuba potentially going on injured reserve due to an ankle injury, the gaps are becoming more evident. Reed is also dealing with health issues. And while Andre Sam and Sidney Brown are solid, the depth just isn't enough to sustain a grueling season. This is where someone like Justin Simmons comes into play. Having a player of his caliber, even late in the season, can completely alter the security of the backfield. He's proven versatile and capable of stepping into big moments, which is exactly what the Eagles need when dealing with injuries and inconsistent performances. It's about shoring up the defense, reinforcing confidence, and ensuring that when crucial games come, the team isn't vulnerable in critical positions. Simmons brings both skill and stability, which could be the difference between a successful run and a series of frustrating losses. With his presence, there's potential for immediate impact, especially given the current struggles in safety depth. Through all of this, one thing remains clear: there are opportunities to maximize talent, adjust strategies, and build momentum across the board. Running backs need to be used effectively. Special teams need discipline and focus. And defensive playmakers must continue their upward trajectory to maintain a competitive edge. The Eagles have talent, they have playmakers, and with the right adjustments, they can not only stabilize but elevate their performance as the season progresses. Whether it's giving Tank Bigsby more carries, reassessing Xavier Gibson's role, or potentially bringing in a game-changing safety like Justin Simmons, these are decisions that will define the team's path forward. And while there are frustrations and missteps, there are also sparks of brilliance, moments of dominance, and players stepping up in ways that are impossible to ignore. The challenge now is consistency, ensuring that the positive trends expand across the lineup and that mistakes are minimized, creating an environment where success is sustainable and momentum becomes a habit rather than a fleeting moment. Now, moving deeper into the season, let's talk about the potential adjustments that could really shift the dynamic for the Eagles. We've touched on running backs, special teams, and safety, but the story doesn't stop there. The offensive line continues to be a talking point. There's no sugarcoating it, they're struggling, and the struggles are visible in almost every game. Yet, even with that limitation, there's brilliance happening if you know where to look. Plays that should result in losses are sometimes salvaged by sheer determination, vision, and effort. Tank Bigsby, as we mentioned, is a perfect example of this. He's not flashy in the traditional sense. He's not the kind of running back that will make defenders miss with unpredictable cuts. But his strength and decisiveness turn situations around. Watching him charge through the same blocks that have left other backs in the dirt, there's a reliability that can't be overstated. It's exactly the kind of consistency that a coach dreams of when trying to stabilize an offense that has flashes of greatness but lacks consistency in execution. And while we're talking about potential, let's not forget that every opportunity Tank gets is a chance to reshape the conversation around the running game. Every time he steps onto the field, it's a small reminder that the Eagles have multiple weapons, they just have to be used effectively. Offensively, the balance between Saquon Barkley and Tank Bigsby is something that requires careful consideration. Saquon is talented, explosive, and capable of game-breaking plays, but when his decision-making slows down, or when he's hesitant to commit fully to a gap, opportunities are lost. That's where Tank steps in as the counterbalance, a back who doesn't overthink, who sees a crease and attacks it with urgency. The juxtaposition is fascinating because it highlights different approaches to the same role, and it also forces the coaching staff to make decisions that could significantly impact game outcomes. You don't just hand off to Saquon because of reputation. You hand off to the player who can maximize the situation in the moment. That's football at its most pragmatic, and when it works, it creates momentum that carries through every facet of the game. Special teams, meanwhile, remain a wild card. The missteps we've seen with Xavier Gibson have been glaring, and it's not just about fumbling. It's about field position and momentum. A return that should net a couple of extra yards can instead gift the opposition a prime opportunity to take control, and that's a luxury no team can afford when every point matters. The contrast between a reliable returner like CVY and a high-risk option like Gibson is stark, and it emphasizes the importance of decision-making under pressure. Every snap, every touch, every single moment on special teams has a ripple effect. Coaches need players they can trust, implicitly in these moments and until Gibson demonstrates a significant turnaround. Those reps should be reallocated to someone who can consistently deliver. Special teams are the hidden engine of a football team, and a malfunction here affects everything else. Switching to the defensive side, Nico Dean continues to be the player to watch. His 3-sack streak is remarkable, and what makes it even more impressive is the consistency, week after week. He's demonstrating the ability to beat blockers, create pressure, and change the tempo of the game. That's the kind of presence that elevates the entire defensive unit. And while Dean's rise has been dramatic, it also serves as a reminder that player development can be unpredictable and rewarding. Young players, particularly those who struggled early, can find their rhythm, refine their technique, and suddenly become pivotal pieces. Dean is proof that persistence, learning from mistakes, and seizing opportunities can lead to transformative outcomes for both the player and the team. When we combine these threads, running game, special teams, and defensive playmakers, a picture starts to emerge of what the Eagles could be capable of if the right adjustments are made. There's a blend of raw talent, untapped potential, and opportunity that, if harnessed properly, can propel the team to a higher level of performance. The trick is consistency and timing. Using Tank Bigsby more, protecting the ball on special teams, reinforcing the safety position, and allowing playmakers like Nico Dean to flourish creates a synergy that is greater than the sum of its parts. Each decision on the field, each personnel move, each snap in a critical situation contributes to the momentum and confidence that can carry a team through the grind of the season. Now let's talk about the quarterback situation and the passing game, because that's intrinsically linked to everything else. The success of the running backs and the performance of the offensive line impact how the quarterback can operate. When the run game is effective, play action opens up, pressure is alleviated, and the passing attack becomes more dynamic. Conversely, when running backs are struggling to find rhythm, the quarterback faces more defensive attention, more complex reads, and greater risk of mistakes. It's all interconnected. Saquon's inconsistency and Tank Bigsby's limited use aren't just isolated concerns, they directly influence the efficiency of the passing game. The Eagles' offensive strategy must take this into account. Game planning isn't about individual highlights, it's about cumulative effectiveness, about creating pressure on opponents in multiple ways, and about maximizing every single opportunity to gain yardage and control the clock. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds. In a move that has left fans and insiders buzzing, ROSEMAN has reportedly shaken the foundations of the league once again, this time with a stealth maneuver that seemingly came out of nowhere. Sources close to the organization suggest that the executive made a quiet but decisive play in the shadows, catching even the most vigilant analysts off guard. "No one saw this coming," a league insider whispered, emphasizing the suddenness of the development. While details remain scarce and official confirmation is still pending, speculation is already running wild across social media platforms. The timing of the move, executed without fanfare or prior hints, has fueled a wave of rumors about the team's next strategic direction. Some suggest it could be a high-profile acquisition, while others speculate it might involve a surprising roster shake-up, designed to send a message to rivals. Whatever the case, ROSEMAN's penchant for secrecy appears to be in full force. Fans have taken to forums and chat rooms, dissecting every possible scenario, debating who might be involved, and wondering how this stealth move could impact the team's trajectory. Analysts are scrambling to piece together hints dropped in press conferences, cryptic tweets, and insider chatter. But for now, the move remains shrouded in mystery. One thing seems certain: ROSEMAN is not done innovating. This latest maneuver reinforces the narrative that the executive is always thinking several steps ahead, orchestrating plays off the radar that could reshape expectations. Whether this will pay immediate dividends or is part of a longer-term strategy, insiders agree that the league's landscape could be quietly shifting as fans and pundits try to catch up. As the story unfolds, the buzz continues to grow. Everyone wants to know, who is the target? What is the cost, and how far will ROSEMAN go to surprise the competition? In the meantime, one thing is clear: the night's silence was only a prelude to what could be the most talked about move of the season. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.